Well, let's talk really quick about Bob Saget. Just it's kind of
The
a little
autopsy.
short subject. So the court ruled, I think just a few days ago, that in a permanent ruling that the photos and videos and records of his death are not going to be coming out to the public at all, at all. And so a lot of people on social media have found that to be very suspicious because it doesn't quite add up to a lot of people about the way that he died because of the fractures on his skull that have been reported and the amount of force that would be required for, it just seems very suspect to a lot of people. But the family is the one that brought the lawsuit to try to keep all of that private. And I guess it was a very easy determination because already under Florida law, it would be protected anyway under the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Family Protection Act, which was enacted after he famously died in a car accident during a race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people were the public was, news agencies or whatever, were trying to get access to information to try to figure out whether or not the seatbelt was actually faulty or if there was something else that happened. And so the family tried to protect that information. But I don't know if you guys have any extra thoughts on that.
It's a struggle because it sounds a little bit privileged to me, right? Most people, when you die, that's the first they have it all out. Just imagine all the people who died from COVID. They died from COVID, right before the body's even taken off the street, right? He's a COVID death.
Yeah.
And I would have loved, if it happened to me, I would love the privilege to say, yeah, don't tell anybody how I died. Just let them think I just went to heaven or whatever, right? So it's one of those things, but I do understand the family may not want that stuff out there, but it's just generally, I don't think there should be these two separate rules based on how much you can pay for attorneys to go and file these things in court. If they can tell us this person died from X, Y, and Z, this person died from this, then Bob Saget shouldn't get any special privilege. But again, that's just my libertarian view. So
I mean, I think that in this case, this is we do know how he died, though, right? It was it was a fall. It was trauma to the head. So it's kind of similar to saying somebody died from COVID. He died from falling, and suffering, whatever injuries that came from that. But I think that there's a little bit more of a morbid curiosity that people have when you have somebody that is a public figure. And that's why in LA County, I've visited the coroner's office there, and they are the coroner, I should say. And in their ginormous Costco warehouse looking refrigerator where they keep the corpses, they have a special place dedicated to Hollywood, well, not necessarily Hollywood, but usually celebrities, public figures that are closed off because they specifically had issues in the past of paparazzi trying to get in there to take photos. So it's
that feels more like an indictment against the paparazzi than anything else. It's like, man, geez, is there any line? Apparently not.
Well, but at the same time, you could also look at it and we also can think about it, in the context of Britney Spears and other people that have had issues with paparazzi in the past, that, they also, to a certain extent, wouldn't be doing what they're doing if there wasn't a market for those photos and for that information too, right? So, it is also an indictment on the paparazzi, but it's also kind of an indictment on people and maybe human nature in general, that there is that curiosity, that there are people that would pay money for that kind of information for whatever reasons, whether it's nefarious.
I would assume, without knowing, that trespassing in the coroner's office has got to be some sort of criminal violation. So prosecute the paparazzi for the trespass, and if it's not criminal, let's make it criminal. It's like, put them in jail for taking the photos. That'd be fun.
But you can also find ways to take a tour and whatnot. There are ways to do that. They do that, and you could go in and kind of it's not that big of a facility, I will say. So you could walk over and just say, oh, this is interesting, and then secretly snap a photo or something. That's also possible. Technically, you wouldn't be trespassing. So I don't know. Bree, do you have any thoughts on that? I know it's kind of a morbid subject.
Yeah, it does look suspicious in the fact that they brought out some information, but now they're closing it off, which might make it seem like it was something that wasn't an accident. So I think that's probably why a lot of the public have a little bit of an issue with it. But as far as protecting the family and the making sure they can grieve in private, I do think it's appropriate. But when it's a public figure, people are nosy, so they're gonna want to know.
Yeah, for sure.